I was here for ignorance. My name is Melvin Aldous, 11458. That was my number. And I was sentenced to 36 years for murder. Yeah, in a fit of anger, I shot my neighbor. And it wasn't very smart. I'll try and start in the beginning. What I'd like to share with you is what happens when you come through that door. And as we go through here, I'll explain that to you. We go in, we'll show you the next building, which is the two house. It's called the fish tank. I don't know if it's called fish tank anymore or not, but that's what it was then. And we'll probably better just go ahead and step on in there and take a look at it. They gutted it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, shucks. This was the fish tank, as it's called. The reason it was called the fish tank is when we came here, it was called a fish. And so we got to come to fish tank, depending on how long or whatever. It took a little while to find you a cell and a partner and all that. You could be in the fish tank from probably the least was 2 days and the most was a week. But we was put in those cells there, and you notice those little holes in the bottom? That's where the food was passed into you. And we had the cot, metal bunk, it was about 40 by 80 with a straw tick and a wool blanket. This was home. This was the spot. And after being there a little while, you kind of wonder what was going on. And while I was in there, I was called out to Warden Haskins. And I thought, boy, what did I do wrong? That was the first time I was shackled. And they put the shackles on your feet and on your arms. And I hobbled out there. He says, "Are you Mr. Aldous?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "So," and I wrote home, maybe you've seen the report, it's in here somewhere. I says, yeah. He says, "So this is just a rest home, huh?" I said, "Oh, yeah." He says, "Well, you rewrite this letter to your mother and we'll see if it can make it out of here." I said, "Oh, okay." And like I said, I'd only been here 3 days and I was up in right about there. And so I come back out. And I thought, shoot, this is a pits. I've been here 3 days and I'm in trouble. And I've only got 36 more to go, years. And I thought, boy, I don't think I can do that. Captain Howard was the captain in those days, a Christian gentleman, real nice guy. And so I come back out, and beside on this building where the kitchen used to be, there used to be a ramp. Goes to the deadline. Well, I backed up to the back of that and looked both ways and made sure nobody seen me. And then I gonna go jump on the deadline. And I just got ready to go, and some boy says, "What are you doing here?" Scared me, hurt near had my heart attack right then. But I turned and it was Captain Howard. I says, and I explained to him that I just called out to the warden's office for writing my mom a letter and it didn't go through. He says, "Let me see it." So I handed it to him. He's, bless his heart, he grinned from ear to ear and says, "You rewrite that letter and I'll see that your mom gets this one. He's going to smuggle it out. And he says, you're going to jump on a deadline? Yes, sir. He says, Mr. Aldous, I don't think I'd do that. Huh? He says, my guards ain't the best shots in the world, and they might just wound you. I never even thought of being crippled the rest of my life. So I said, oh, okay. He says, you go back in and write it, and we'll smuggle this one out to your mom. But that was my first 3 days in Idaho State Penitentiary, and quite a deal. Okay, let's go to the next building. Okay? This was the dining room and kitchen. And when I first got here, I was assigned to the kitchen help. And that was a good job because you got to wear white, clean clothes all the time. It was pretty nice. And right here used to be the ramp on this side. I don't know what they did to take it out, but I just got backed up here because this stuff used to come out here somewhere. And that's the deadline, brother. There where that's raised up. And I was just getting ready to go and jump into the deadline. And I knew that guy. I thought that guy could hit me. Well, come and find out, he wasn't a good shot. And so that takes care of that part. But the dining room, they could feed the whole penitentiary in an hour because they had it set up so well, different ways and so on. And then
were the meals good?
Oh yeah, especially for the kitchen help.
What kind of food did you have?
You name it, we had. In fact, they had their own farm, and about once a month we had steak. Boy, was that a treat!
What's a typical menu? I mean,
oh, whatever you wanted. Just about. Usually in the morning it was hot cakes and eggs, and bacon. Noon was, what the heck was noon? More of a stew, and went through with potatoes and gravy and biscuits, and it was good food. I can't complain on that. But my second job was a chapel.
Oh, okay.
My first one was the kitchen. The second one was a chapel, and the third one was finally got to be a trustee. But I was very disappointed in this because it was destroyed right after. Because it had, just like in the book, it had murals on the wall, and I was assigned to the chapel. Pastor Bill, not Billy Graham, but wasn't even related to him, was the chaplain. He was a real nice gentleman, and he had, we didn't have too good account at first, but his daughter started coming. And boy, did the population jump when she come in her mini skirt. But that was the last time we saw her, too. Decided that ain't gonna go over. So, yeah, he was a good guy. And I had the privilege, because it had never been washed. And I had the privilege, and it took me 2 weeks to wash the murals and the ceiling and everything. But I got to be out half the night. We'd roll our scaffolding around in there and scrub the ceiling and did that. So that was a lot of fun and got me more privileges. Fact is, Pastor Graham said, I think we better go. And we went, and I didn't realize what a privilege it really was, but he got me permission to go down to the Nazarene College down and speak and just pray, let them know my side of the Lord. And I got up there and I just stood there. And Chaplain Graham, he broke the ice. He says, oh, you'll have to excuse Mel. He's never been in a tie before. I hadn't. And he thinks he's a horse and he's tied up. Boy, they broke down and laughed. Then from there on, it was a thawed out deal. We had a lot of fun, but I didn't realize the privilege I had of speaking at the college. They were good people. So that's part of the chapel story.
Do you remember the murals? Can you describe the murals?
The meals.
The murals.
Oh, no, they're in, you can see some of them in here. The one that I loved the most was Jesus in this corner was weeping over Jerusalem. And the artist did a fabulous job on that. Oh, that was a good one. And then there are others you can see in this book.
Didn't you tell me that the pastor here became an administrator or whatever?
Yeah, it's in here. That was different one. That was Orville Stiles was the guy. He's he's the one that took the doors off the hole. And that's another story. Well, as we get near that, it's right down here. As we get near that, like he said in here, he said, I wouldn't even put a dog in there. But a fellow from Salmon, Idaho, Dillard Haggard, got here practicing escape. He got he got arrested for not paying a bill of buying a radiator. And he wouldn't pay the bill. He said it wasn't worth it. So the guy pressed charges and he was finally sent to jail. And while he was in jail, he thought, this is no place to be. Took the hinges off the door, took the door off the hinges and stood it by and escaped. He was so proud of that. And when he got here, he thought, well, this place ain't any harder than Salmon. I'd get out of here. So when we get over there to the edge of this, they put him in the hole, or solitary, whatever you want to call it, the little square building over there. And that is a dark, dark place because the only light you had was out of the square holes, about that big that the food was sliced in. And every time the guard would bring him the food, to be able to stay there, he'd do something wrong. He'd either chew them out, slam the door arm, or kick the tray in their face just to get to stay there. And to this day, and they don't either, Captain Carey couldn't figure out how in the world, because he's almost in there a year. Boomer, guy's name was old guy. He did probably 25, maybe 30 years here. But he raked that deadline every day with a rake. That was his job. He timed it just right. He'd start here and go around, get there at supper time, and quit. Well, he went up over. When I get over here, the ground was sinking. What's going on? So he filled it up. 3 days later, it was sinking again. So he went to Captain Carey, and he says, Cap, we got a big gopher or something digging in under here. He says, oh, I'll take care of it. So I grabbed the lawn chair, leaned it against that wall when we get over there, and he leaned there sitting there. 2 o'clock in the morning, the dirt disappeared. And there was Dillard, just like in here, peeking out of that hole. He mismeasured. And the wall, you can see how thick the wall actually is, probably 6 feet wide at the bottom. Well, he measured and guessed it, but they don't know how he had to dig through just like this to get started. And he mismeasured the wall. And Captain Carey says, good morning, Dillard. So neat. Gee whiz. Hey, they did leave some of this here. That's where Dillard dug his way out.
Oh, this one here?
Yeah. Yeah. But he mismeasured.
Do you know what landed him here in that cell?
Being ornery. Yeah, just he wanted in here. And he knew how to get here. He'd either kick the guard or threaten him or something. That's the reason he got in here. But he did almost a year in that cell. And like you shut that door and the one that was on there, it's dark in here. The only light they actually had was right there. And at the bottom, I didn't remember that. Of course, I wasn't in here, thank goodness. But I don't remember why they did that. But yeah.
So do you remember where along the wall was, his hole?
Pardon?
Do you remember where along the wall the hole was?
Yeah, it was right. Fact is, I had you on the wrong wall, bro. Yeah, Dillard stepped it off from here to the wall. No, it wasn't that wall. It had to be this one.
Over
Yeah, I think it was that one there. Anyway, Boomer was raking there and he filled it back, but he'd come up short. But that's a lot of work just to be discouraged. But then he was, like I say, he was assigned to the chapel because they thought that the chaplain Graham could straighten him out, and he did. He got to get out before I did and come back. But yeah, I don't know how come he chose to come up on the wrong side. Boomer,
here. Take him through something like this.
Boomer, the guy that did the deadline, he got to become a trustee, and he was doing real well. And in fact, as they said, I think we better give him a parole. So they called him out front and talked to him and told him, Boomer, about the next time you're here, we think we'll give you a parole. Oh, so we went back in, and as it got closer, one day, he was the one that took care of the roses out front. He disappeared. Couldn't find him nowhere. They looked and looked, couldn't find him anywhere. The state police, the salmon police, our state patrol, and the city police and the guards, they all looking. They're even looking up there in those rocks and stuff, trying to find Dylan. Or Boomer. Couldn't find him. So they, well, he'll show up. Sure enough, 3 days later, he's sitting on the warden's steps. Sitting there. They chewed on him. Where have you been, Boomer? He says, and there used to be a big old bin for the garbage down at the corner. He stayed in there for 3 days and then come out. And he thought, well, they'll get me for escape. Well, he didn't even get off the property. So he did get no escape. So they brought him back inside for about a week is all. And he said, oh, that's being mean. So they brought him back out. Took almost 2 months to actually get him out because he went to halfway house and couldn't make it and come back. Because he had no idea what a car was or anything else, really. He was just a good man on a rake. But that's Boomer's story. But it flubbed up on him. He never made it. Right here while we're here, this was not this way. We used to have a row of roses down this side, and one winter, the darn water line's right there too. Well, one winter it froze up, busted, and we called him Big George because he's like my son. He was a big guy. Called him Big George. He was helping us dig it up, and that cold frozen ice, he hit the side of the pipe and he stuck his pick in his leg. I mean, flat stuck it there, and didn't know. He says, doggone. And so rushed him into the nurse's deal, got the dirt and stuff out of the hole, wrapped it up. He finished helping us dig the ditch. But he was a tough guy. Let's go take a look here. Oh, by the way, the handiest place to bury those shanks and knives and stuff was under the rose bushes. That was Captain's office. And the reason I mentioned that was, and I had two cellmates all the time I were here. One was Murray Gribble, and the other was Jim Totten. I'll be here all day if I go into Jim, but he was a safe cracker. And he got so good at it that it was that's Jim's work. That's Jim's work. Because what he would do, on even the upright, he'd take nitroglycerin and putty. He'd putty around the door, put near to the top, then he'd pour the nitroglycerin very slowly into there. When he saw it come out the bottom, that was good enough. Stick a fuse in a putty and get the heck out of the way. Boy, it'd blow the door open every time. But they know it's him that did it. So he had to change occupations. And what was I going to tell on him about? Oh, the funniest part of his deal was when he worked by himself, he usually got away with something. But when he got a partner, he got caught. And he switched to stealing boxes of cigarettes, boxes and boxes. And he told his partner, he said, now, whatever you do, don't get out of this part. He forgot he had to get a drink. Went and got, of course, that set the silent alarm off. And here they got ready to go because they had the truck all loaded with stuff. And they went ready to go. They were surrounded by cop cars. Oh, shoot, we've had it now. So, boy, they tried to find someplace to hide. Just like in there, in the upper tier, there was a brat. Jim went up there and hid. And his partner was, he said he about gave himself away laughing. He'd go down one alley and then go down another and turn around and then follow the cops. And finally they caught him, and Jim said he was being very careful, just laying there quiet. And the head sheriff or cop or whatever, you can tell when you're being watched. Well, hi, Jim. And they caught him. And so he was sent down here. He wasn't on that charge, but on another one. And the one that I liked best, he decided he had to quit blowing the safes up. So they went, although they blew this one up, and they opened it up, there was a wall safe, and they opened it up, it was empty. Bummer. There must be, it was in a car room, showroom. There must be some around here of value. Looked around, a car! So he got the keys over the car, started the car up. Sure enough, there was a blank spot in the showroom floor. And they drove it from, it was actually a little further north, drove it from pretty near coast to coast, drove it pretty near to New York and back. And he had switched plates every so often so that, just in case somebody got tracing him, he'd switch plates every so often and put new plates on. Well, he got pretty near back, must have been back in Montana. He decided we better trade outfits. So I went and bought another car, took this one, and I don't know which lake it was that he did it, but he stuck a little stick on the gas pedal, aimed it for the lake, and turned it loose. It splashed off into that lake. He walked up and looked, and man, that must have been a deep spot, because not only couldn't he see the car, he couldn't see the bottom. And to this day, I'll bet it's still there, wherever it was. But that was just one of the silly things that Jim did. And then the other partner, we'll have to go down here now. The shoe shop that's on that side, ain't it? Or is it? I can't remember, guys. But Murray was the shoe man. It was the only deal in the pen that you got paid for doing. But he built the guards' boots. And his boots were better than White's when he did it. It was great. But I'll show you. Down at the administration building, and I went in there this morning, in fact, they got a cook out of it. But they went in there. There's a safe right here once you go in there, and the handle got broke off. And I was mowing the lawn and cleaning the center up, and I happened to bump the shelf, and a big piece of paper fell off on the floor. Oh, shoot. So I picked it up, stuck it back up there, and as I put it there was a little piece of paper in the corner. And I can't remember the exact number, but it was 38 left, 42 right. It was the combination of that safe.
And where was this slip of paper?
Huh?
Where was this slip of paper?
It fell off of the little shelf that I was cleaning. And so I read them and I thought, for goodness sakes, that's that safe. So I went over there and left, right. But I couldn't open it. The handle was broke. But I heard a click. That's going to open up. So I come back up to the administration building with trustees and got a crescent wrench, a little one. I didn't get a big one, got a little one. Went down there, stuck that on there. It come wide open. Guess what was inside? The shotguns and the 30-30s were stacked around the wall. Shotguns was on this wall, 30-30s and 32s was on this wall. I thought, gee, now what do I do? So I shut it back up. Oh, by the way we got permission to do that was Mrs. Rice was the secretary then, and I asked her, would you like to have that open? Boy, that'd be great. She didn't know how long it had been closed. Dust was in there, and it had been shut for quite a while because that handle was broken. Nobody could get in. And I said, well, I know a fellow that's pretty good at opening safes. And, I don't think he'd mind opening that for you. Could he do that? I said, I think so. He says, but one thing, no pictures, no witnesses or nothing. He don't want people to know how he does it. So, that's okay. So I went up and got Jim was his name. Got Jim. I said, hey, I got a job for you. What? I said, opening a safe. Oh, goody. So we went down there. Of course, we all walked in, shut the door, walked in. I opened it up. He didn't have to work out. We visited in a minute. He said, I got it open by now. So stepped back out and told Mrs. Rice, we got it. Man, they come. And of course, I should know the guys' names. The two board members, they were there. You got it open? Man, they come and we're all standing looking in there. Mouths fell open. They had no idea what was in that safe. And I think they're in this building now. But anyway, so we got away with that. The shoe shop was the only place that you got paid because he built the guards' boots and anybody else's boots. He come so good at it that he lived in Orfino. He opened a shop up there when he got out. But yeah, he was all right. Well, that's a shame that they took the shoe shop out of here. Because he had all the modern equipment. They give him the best. And he built the boots. And like I say, he was the only gentleman that got paid. And I went down from the chapel. I'd go from the chapel, go down and help him and learn how to do it. And one day I come down there and there's 3 guys in there with shanks. And Murray was in one corner. I pretended like I didn't know what was going on. I backed off into my corner and I listened a minute and I heard Murray tell the guy, no, I will not loan you any money. He wanted to borrow some money. And we knew him, he was a bad guy anyway. And here they come with their shanks. And Murray went behind the counter, grabbed a hammer. I went behind my counter, grabbed a hammer. It was 2 hammers against 3 knives, but they didn't like the odds. They left. But Murray thanked me for saving his life, because if I hadn't come in when I did, he'd probably been dead. This was a shoe shop, this corner.
Shoe shop?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and this is where other guys had exhibits and could do stuff. I can't remember. I'll have to look that up.
So like the tailor shop?
Yeah, the cat tailor shop was in that corner, right? You're right. Yeah, that's the way we used to go in and out of the shoe shop, right there. Yep, that's the way. Huh. See, is about as rough as it was when we used to. The back of this building, as you can see, is plastered there. That was our handball court.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, okay.
You see how rough that is?
Oh, yeah.
One good thing about working in the shoe shop, because we wore out a sole in 3 or 4 days, and it got so bad that we had to even change shoe and all in a week for the handball. And Murray and I become the champions. Everybody wanted to play the champions, and there were some guys that was pretty good. We really had to work at it, but we would win. And one day there was a couple Mexicans wanted to beat us, and we're playing there. They couldn't play handball if they'd had a club. But so Murray says, give him a baby servant. So I throwed it up there real light. And that guy hit it. We was on the way, but of course we beat him. And then we got tired, so we always quit with somebody that couldn't play, but we always quit then. And I just walked around here, and I just got past this building. Yeah, must have been over there. Yeah, it was right there. I just got to there, and I think he was hid behind this. From nowhere, this kid that we beat, this guy come at me with a shank. I looked around, and I'm no sword fighter or shank fighter or knife fighter. I think about it, bet I can outrun him. So I just got ready to take off up that way to the Captain Howard's office, and we don't know where little Mickey come from, but a little guard. Here was them voices again. Hey, what are you doing here? I'll come, I jump every time somebody does that to me. Oh, we're just visiting. The guy stuck the knife back in his pocket. Yeah, we're going visiting, all right, going up to Captain Howard's office. So we went up there. Captain Howard says, what are you doing here? He says, well, I kind of got in trouble again. What? I told him about it. He says, go in my office. And he says, and get something. He had me get something. I can't remember where it was now. But get that, and then you'll have to go to the cell house for a while. Oh, okay. The other little Mexican guy, I was glad he told me to get out of there because the smoke was getting pretty deep. And back in the 5 house, he went. I don't know how long he was there, but I was sure glad little Mickey showed up. I still think I could outrun him. Okay, I think we're ready to head out of here now. They probably didn't mention it, but you didn't wave at the guards. Nope, you didn't wave hi or say nothing because they couldn't wave back, and that was being mean. This is the deadline. Okay. So nobody's allowed on that. Oh, no. They had a right to shoot you if you stepped out on there. But just like it's sunk there, that's the way it was up there where Dillard dug the hole. Oh, I better share one more. Okay. In 5 house, which is security, supposed to be the thing. That's the only one I think could get out of. And just like you seen in this book, that guy digging under there, we did have one true escape while I was here. And we knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. But we're all laying in our bunks. And it wasn't real late. I think it was only about 10 or 11 o'clock. There was 3 guards that discovered it. And they clobbered the one guy, and he went down. And he'd get back up, and they'd clobber him again. And down he'd go. And finally, they hit him so hard that they went over the wall, and he was out cold. Boom, boom, the shotguns went off. Oh, they're on their way. Come to find out, they broke out of here, threw their ladders up against that wall, and made it over the wall. but they were only out a week and they were back to see how we were doing. But he got to an early retirement. He never did come out of it. He was always slow after that. They hit him one time too many. But he was a good guy. Fact is, he moved to Salmon. That's where he retired, but he got an early retirement. The license plate factory was here, and when we seen them, there's just flat pieces of metal, and then they went through the press. I forget it. I think it's a 20-ton press. Little Jimmy, the straps, we had safety straps on your wrists so that that thing would not come down if your arms was not in the right place. His one strap come off, and he didn't even know it. Stuck his hand under there and lost this one completely. Can you imagine as flat as a license plate is? That's how flat his hand was. And it was, of course, this big by the time it was, and he lost 2 fingers on the other hand. He got an early parole. That was Captain Howard's office, because they, like you say, it says right there, they discontinued as the barber shop because it's a little too dangerous. It was nice. He had it decorated. Of course, he had his desk that crossed the back, and you'd go in. He had benches on each side in case you had to interview somebody. But yeah, Captain Howard was a good old guy. Not old, young guy. I don't know if they mentioned it or not, but this was first heated. This is called Warm Springs. They heated these things through the ground.
Do you remember, was there a sulfur smell to it or anything?
No, they had it pretty well sealed. Only thing you knew was by the time you went by one of the heaters, it was warm. We had a fellow that was just a gorilla, I guess would be the way to describe him, but he was put in there for his own safety. But that guy could do he'd flip up against the wall, back to the wall, one arm, he'd do push-ups. How many, I don't know. You could peek through the window and see him doing his exercises. But the reason he was sent here and the reason he was put there, most of the time, anytime he was out of there, he was in chains. But he picked up a pool table and smashed it and killed a guy. And he was here for murder, for slamming that pool table on that guy. I don't know his name or nothing, but I knew he was awful big and he was strong. He looked like a gorilla practically. He was short, but he could do one-arm push-ups with his foot. But yeah, any place he went was chained. They'd make him back up to the wall and then chain him because you got to go out whenever your appointment was. And he was always chained. He's like I was the first time I went out there. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Yep, I was home for 3 days. Man, I was surprised they took them out of there because you did not escape out of that building. 5 house, forget it. I was the warden's office. I know where that is. I'd only been here 3 days and got to go in there. That was like, but anyway, Jim used to blow what they call bowling ball safes. They were either in the floor or in the wall. Well, he couldn't get this one to open. So he finally got mad and got a chisel and hammer and a pick and dug it out of the floor. And he had an old Hudson in those days. And he put it in that Hudson, and you know how they come down first Fisher body? Well, he put that and could not get it open. And he went up, had to be up by above Lewiston, I think, where it was actually taking place. And the cops were right on his butt. But them old Hudson's in the corner where another car would roll. So he outrun them, got out there in the wheat fields, and there was a big old storage shed over there. Man, he drove over there, parked it, shut the door, sat there for 2 days. Nobody showed up. I must have ditched him. So he drove it out of there, started across there, and there where the canyon is, he come along there and he says, I'm through playing with you. So had to use a plank to roll that thing in and out. He rolled it back out, rolled it over the edge, and watched it go down that cliff. 3/4 of the way down, it busted open. He didn't go down to get the money because it was too steep. But that was Jim. I think I got in with the right group right off the bat. Chaplain Graham and Captain Howard. Really a nice guy. And like I say, and they really treated me well. I do thank Mrs. Rice, the secretary, for her input. I know that's the reason I got time cuts and stuff, because back to that, I was mowing the lawn down there one day and had a lawn boy, and happened to come in, and she says, boy, you're good at that lawnmower. I said, yeah, they're a good lawnmower. She says, mine ain't. She says, I got one and it won't run. I said, bring it in. She brought it in, and I said, I'll see if I can fix it. Boy, did it need fixing. She hadn't changed the filter, hadn't changed the oil, the spark plug was gone. So I fixed it all up, cleaned it up, put a new spark plug in it, brought it back. About a week later, she caught me and said, boy, you do know lawnmowers, don't you? I said, no, that just needed a little tender loving and care. But I know it was her that got me the time cuts and stuff. We're sitting in the office, and they were trying to decide what to do with me, so on and so forth. She mentioned that. She says, I think Mr. Aldous needs a time cut. So that was my first one. Cut my time right in half, which was great. Yeah, that's about what happened out here. When I pulled up to this door right here, Sheriff Bill Baker's the one that brought me, and he never even handcuffed me till I got here. He says, just for show, we better cuff you. So he put the cuffs on me, and when we went in to, I think it was Haskins, might have been, I don't remember which ward it was, but when we went in, he gave me a good word. He says, folks, says, this guy ain't a bad guy. He just did a bad thing. And I think that actually helped him too, because I thanked him for giving me a good report. Yeah.